Heat waves, droughts, dried up riverbeds, water restrictions, hosepipe bans are all warning signs to us that as gardeners we may have to reconsider how we manage our gardens in future. One place we could look at for inspiration is the Mediterranean. We look there because the characteristics of the Mediterranean climate are hot, dry summers and cool, moist winters, with most of the rainfall occurring between October and April. Summer usually starts with a bang during May and can last until the end of September and sometimes into October. I know it may seem sometimes that we British are obsessed with the weather, but that's because our pattern has become so unpredictable that we may freeze one day and fry the next, and it's not uncommon to experience all four seasons in one day. The main features of the Mediterranean garden are evergreen trees and shrubs, flowers that could be annuals or perennials, and seasonal bulbs. I've made up an A to Z list of plants that are suitable for growing under hot, dry conditions. It isn't a definitive list by any means, just more of a nudge in the Mediterranean direction. The plants have all been selected for their heat and drought tolerance, and you may notice that they come from all around the globe. That is because the Mediterranean climate can be enjoyed from California, Chile, Australia, North and South Africa, as well as in the Mediterranean basin. All of the plants are suitable for growing in pots and containers, so even if you have a small garden, a courtyard garden, patio or balcony, you can still enjoy the Mediterranean experience. An important characteristic of the Mediterranean garden is fragrance, and most of the selections here have aromatic foliage or fragrant flowers, and the scents always seem more powerful and intoxicating on a warm summer's evening. The plants have adapted to resting from the end of summer through to the spring, and during this period they will recharge their batteries. They have expended an awful lot of energy surviving the summer heat, and will need to replenish their life support mechanisms. To do this, they have fleshy or extensive root systems that allow them to store water and nutrients to survive the next summer. They also send their roots right down to the lower water tables to sustain them in times of crisis. Most of the plants are hardy enough to get through a cold British winter, but the biggest enemy to survival will be the very wet growing conditions that sometimes we have with prolonged rain. You could take cuttings from some to overwinter them and replant next spring, or if it's practical, give some protection using horticultural fleece or apply a mulch over the soil surface, taking care to keep the mulch well away from the stems and trunks of the more woody specimens. If you are growing your plants in pots and containers, towards the end of October, you could tip the pots over and on their side, letting the pots dry out as the winter goes on. I stack my pots alongside the house on the north side of a fence with the tops open facing the north. Towards the end of February, I always look for signs of new growth before tipping them back up straight. I give them a light watering just to say wakey wakey and welcome back. Don't panic if this drags on into March. But once again, I would say keep some horticultural fleece handy just to protect the pots or containers from severe winter conditions. This means deep freezing or really strong driving rain, but always remove any protection whenever the conditions permit. Any repotting can be carried out during March or April time. Don't overpot. Just move them up to the next size pot. I usually use, if I can get my fingers between the original pot and the next size pot, that's large enough. But never go bigger than 45 centimeters, 18 inches. They're far too heavy to carry. If you have to repot something that's pot bound, then you can reduce the root system simply by sawing a third off the bottom and gently tickling or teasing the soil or the compost off from around the outside, so you'll reduce the overall diameter of the root ball by about 5 centimeters, roughly 2 inches or so. And they will recover. They need a little bit of nursing back, I know that, but don't stick them straight out in direct sun. Whenever you repot something, once again, put it in a cool shade till it begins to regrow, and that usually takes about 10 days or so. Well, there we are. We've reached the end of the list. Thank you for watching if you're still with us. Just something to whet the appetite. Bon appetit. Just a little footnote. You may remember the image of the Pompeian garden at the start of this video. Well, this is a Welsh version of it, at different gardens in South Wales. The garden of Reginald Corey, who was a wealthy coal owner and industrialist. But he was also a very generous man as well, supporting the RHS, Cambridge Botanic Gardens, and various plant hunting expeditions, and there is still a surviving specimen of the Asagricium sent back from one of these trips growing in the Arboretum. Diolch, and thank you for watching. Goodbye for now, but if you would like to see any more, please hit the subscribe and like buttons.